Hello everyone, it's Travis Knapp here. I'm going to be going over a lesson on the area of operation 5. We're going to do task alpha air traffic control clearances. Okay, so we're going to start with the why. Why do we need air traffic control clearances? And the answer is 91-173. No person may operate an aircraft in controlled airspace under IFR unless that person has filed an IFR flight plan and received an appropriate ATC clearance. So we see here, if we want to be flying like this Cessna in some good IFR conditions, we need to have filed a flight plan and received a clearance based off of that flight plan. The goal for this lesson is to learn to comply with 91-173. Okay, so how do we comply with this? So we have to file flight plans, and then we contact our respective agency. We'll talk about that in the next slide, and request our clearance. They're going to give us a set of information that we'll then have to read back. And so a good way to remember this and to copy the information is the CRAFT clearance. So C in CRAFT is a clearance limit, usually the final airport. The R is the route. Sometimes they'll say as filed, meaning, hey, whatever you filed, that is the route that you're being cleared to. Otherwise, they'll give you different points along the route. So they'll say cleared to whatever VOR, GPS waypoint, and then the airport. A is the initial altitude. So this will normally sound like climb to 3,000, expect 5,000, 10 minutes after departure. Frequency is just your departure frequency, and so you should already know what that's going to be, so you can go ahead and write that before you even know what they're going to say, and then just put a little check mark if what they say is the actual frequency you put down. And then lastly, the transponder, so your squawk code, and we should all be familiar with that from our VFR flight following. And then again, you must read back this information accurately, and they're going to give it to you in this order, and so you're going to read it back in this order as well. And so the CRAFT clearance template really helps you organize that read back. Okay, so where to go to get an IFR clearance? So there's all kinds of different airports, different airspace, controlled and uncontrolled. So we'll start from most advanced or most controlled to least controlled. So Bravo and Charlie airspaces and a few Delta airspaces have a clearance and delivery frequency. And so when you are ready to pick up your clearance, you'll just tune into their frequency and you'll let them know who you are, let them know you're ready to pick up your IFR clearance. Additionally, ground frequencies at Class Delta airports will often serve this purpose. So if you are at a Delta, you can ask the ground frequency to get your IFR clearance. Now, untowered is a little bit more complicated. Typically you're just going to call whatever controlling agency governs that airport, so the center or whatever. You can call the flight service center. You can call the center of departure via phone or radio for any of these. Or you can take off, and if it's VFR, you can take off VFR and then contact ATC via radio. Okay, so for untowered airports, the clearance void time is when you do get your clearance, they'll say, must be off by a certain time. So they're going to protect that airspace in IFR conditions. They'll protect it from any other instrument traffic going through there. And so you have to let them know if you're not going to depart, because they're going to continue to protect that clearance. You're going to need to call them back and let them know you need a new clearance with an extended void time. If you had some sort of problem with run-up that is now resolved and you can still go fly, or you can just let them know you're going to cancel your clearance. And then again, the airspace remains protected until you call them. All right, pilot responsibilities for accepting clearances. Be able to comply with the clearance. So know how to use your nav systems. Make sure your codes are correct when you filed, so they give you a path that you can actually identify and fly. And then know how your communication system works so you can communicate with the appropriate agencies as you fly through. IFR conditions. All right, so success criteria here for our student pilots, or for our pilots who are now students. Being able to activate a flight plan at whatever airport we're at, receiving a class craft clearance and doing an appropriate readback, and then lastly, just being able to comply with that clearance. And so we'll test that by going and filing IFR, picking up a clearance, and going and actually flying it. The only reference we have here is just our FAR that we referenced at the very beginning, 91-173. Okay, looking forward to seeing you all in the discussion post, and hope training is going well with everybody.